going to start recording. Hopefully that is great. Okay, today's topic is workflow and keywords and design elements for the photographic artist. We have the class here at Jordahl College in the classroom, and we have a few people in the chat room. As expect, some people will watch it later since it is available on CCC Convert. And if I should be so brilliantly interesting that you would want to listen to this again, you too can watch it on CCC Convert later. Or if you want to review a concept or something else, I can assure you. It's been an exciting week. I've seen a lot of good things in the classroom, and so we're going to go, and the screen here in the classroom is almost on. I'm going to and so it's going to take a little while for your screen to draw online, but here is our classroom. I will remind you that all of your assignments go into Etudes. And for those of you that are finding that I like a lot of information, and I put a lot of things out, and I hope that you can make use of it, one of your best bets is Course Map. Course Map is a way to see where you should be and what you should be doing, and you will notice at the top I am logged in as ever famous and friendly Annie Student. And Annie Student is a little behind here. She's going to need to catch up in the next few days. But at the same time, she can immediately see in Course Map what she should do next. And so it's a very good. So you can see that in Course Map right here, it tells you when things are due. And one of the things that is true is a couple things to make note of. One is that generally I leave any assignment open for 2 days after the official due date, so then it would come in late. And often the conversation will stay open longer, both to encourage discussion and because the online students need to add more posts for their attendance. And sometimes if people are going to put their assignment in late, I want time for people to give them feedback and talk about it. So the due date, it may be that you have to make a comment for assignment 3 that's due on the 7th, but you'll notice the discussion stays open until the 9th and actually beyond. Everything's a couple days beyond that. So just as a kind of heads up that the dates kind of stagger in hopefully a workable way. Let me know if anything's not working. That's why I'm here. Okay, so that is our course map to go rolling in down. And you'll notice our front thing where we are going to talk about backup today and the keys to a happy life: eat well, exercise, and back up your computer. I would add there and take more pictures. That's my guide to a happy life, as it were. Okay. This week's handouts are composition in the language of photography. That's on our handouts page, which you'll notice is also in Etudes. And right now, we're going to go to the lecture page. And before I get started, is there any questions in the chat room, Steve? Okay, so Steve's watching the chat room. Any questions here in the classroom? Anything that is a burning issue that anyone would like to ask right now? Yeah. What is Backblaze? We're going to talk about backup. There's a number of different processes for backing up your files, and Backblaze is one of the many services that will do this. So I'll talk about backing up in just a minute, and I will definitely address Backblaze as one of the options. I hate to advocate a particular service, and so I will say you need to do your own research. This was one that was recommended to me by one of my past students who, as you can imagine, had a life in the computer industry before coming here. But it has its pluses and minuses. So when we talk about backup and what you have to be concerned about, I'll cover some of that. So thanks for that question about Backblaze. Okay. So let's look at workflow and keywords. Anyone recognize this little drawing? It is from your book. And I just love when people make drawings that absolutely clearly show something which may or may not be helpful, but at least we have the graphic. You will, this is Martin Evening, our book author's attempt to graphically outline what it is we're doing in Lightroom. And I think it can be helpful to sort of understand. I mean, we had this lecture last week. We had the information last week and the week before about where are my pictures. And sort of trying to get that relationship between your catalog and the actual image files that you are working with is one piece of this. The next piece is to sort of understand how you're going to run through Lightroom. How are you going to move through Lightroom, and where are things going? You'll notice up here he has importing. And so you can import pictures from your camera. You can import from a memory stick. You can actually import from a hard drive. You can also import from another catalog. And we were in the on-campus class, we were doing some of that together on Tuesday, is importing and exporting from a catalog. We'll go into that in more detail later in the class. So that is master. He's calling it master files here. I'll probably refer to those as image files, just as a point of reference. The reason I say that is because I tend to use the word master files following a very, very wonderful photographer, Charlie Kramer, recommendations. Is your master file is the file you actually print. So the file that you've done all of your work on, I call that my master file. But that's what Evening calls it here, is a master file. Then you put that into this very powerful, very, as you can see, Zen-like shape of Camera Raw and database. And that is the heart of Lightroom. And in accessing this information, we have our library, our map, and our develop modules. And they all are the pieces where you work with your data. You work with your data out of your database. From there we have what Evening calls create modules. And I'll say honestly, I usually also call them output modules, which other people will refer to them as output modules also. Just so if you hear both terms, you know create modules, output modules. And that is our book, slideshow, print, and web modules, where we can make things out of the pictures we've done so much work on. So I think hopefully having this picture really gives you an idea of, it's a map. It's a map of the program. It's a map that shows you how you're going to proceed, in working with your pictures. Your workflow is a very personal thing. I take thousands of pictures. I travel the world to do this. As you know, my master project is World Heritage Sites, and it has taken me to many countries. So that means I'm traveling with hard drives, I'm traveling with laptops, I'm coming home and working on the pictures at home. I sometimes work on them in other places. So there's a lot of pieces to my workflow that is really individual to those projects I'm working on. You may have other concerns with other projects. What I recommend is you actually sit down, yes, with a pencil and pen. You don't have to get quite as fancy as I did with my highlighters. I was having fun, but it can help. If we're visual people, we visually need to see what's going to happen. And so in this little scenario, I have my pictures. I download them to my laptop into a travel catalog. I do a rough edit and a keywording. Now, you can go to other Lightroom experts who would say in this travel part, they won't do anything but download, and then they do all of their keywords and editing down here. When I'm on the road, though, I find it helps to do, when I'm actually working with, it's close to when I make the image if possible. If I can do some of this, I know where I'm going. And that means I have to do a little bit different backing up and coalescing later on, which we'll talk about. On the road, I back up to an external hard drive. Then when I get home, I move it to my home computer for the master catalog. At that point, I'll do more keywords, a finer editing, and I will start thinking about output. and then I will back it up. And depending on the project, I will back it up to a DVD, so all of the master files will get backed up to a DVD, or I also have off-site backup set up. It is imperative that you have a backup plan, that you think about how you're going to protect these images, because they're all your work now. I mean, it used to be relatively clear to take a roll of film, get it to the chemicals, process the film, and then you had this physical thing that you could put into a book. And as long as you kept it dry and in a not too hot place, you're done. That's all you can do. Now we have these electronic files that are much more vulnerable to breakage, to change, to loss, to data corruption. And so you really do need to think about how you're going to do this process and what works for you in this whole thing. So here you see my LaCie ruggedized hard drive, of course, and my DVD catalog where I have put the master files, back up the master files. I have a very large plastic tub of hard drives. They reproduce like some type of creature in my studio, and I try to hide them. And then when I don't know what to do, I buy another one. So it's like, what do you want for Christmas? I'd like another hard drive, please. It's difficult. I mean, and especially now as some of you are getting cameras that have larger image files, you really do need to think about what to do with the images, what to do with the files, and how to protect them. I will confess that one of my challenges is that I don't like getting rid of anything. And I shared this before. I might want to do a collage. I might find I need a piece of a picture for a repair on another picture. I may have been wrong, like when I shared about Australia, that when I went through the negatives that I thought I had absolutely printed everything of worth in those negatives, and then found 3 more pictures that I love that I had to use for an exhibition. So I am very aware that I want to be careful. At the same time, as the image files get larger, it may be that you'll want to do a first call of getting rid of at least the pictures that are out of focus or totally useless, and at least get down to the core of the images you want to keep. And here is Backblaze, which is, was the question. What I can actually show you right here. And I don't know if it's going to show real well online, but here's my Backblaze. It runs all the time. And there's many services. Again, I'm not advocating one service over another. I happen to use this because it was recommended by a student colleague that and it worked. It worked for me. You may find some other ones. The one thing about Backblaze, and compare this with your other backup methods, is it is a snapshot of your computer now. It is not something about the past. So if you were to accidentally delete a pile of files and in 6 months decide you want to get them back, Backblaze is not the place to do that. What Backblaze is exactly what's on your computer, but very any hard drives that you want now. And so if right now my computer was, who as you guys know is always kind of groaning up here with the effort to keep up with my speed, if it was to die right now, I could go to Backblaze and download all the files that are on it today. But if I realized that I had deleted something 6 months ago, that's when you need your removable drives, or you need your time machine for those of you on Mac, or Retrospect maybe for those of you on PC, or some other method of backing up. There are online backup methods that keep a history. They are more expensive. And I decided with my hard drives and the way that I'm doing time machine, Backblaze is what works for me, both in terms of price and process. I have Time Machine, Backblaze, and then I manually make backups of the most important pictures. So you can actually see that right now my China hard drive is live and it's being backed up. My Lightroom Master, Kate Lightroom Master hard drive is live and being backed up. Photo 72, you guys have your very own hard drive in my universe, is live and being backed up. But my iTunes is offline and my photo play. So I actually have what looks like 5 gigabytes of information being backed up. But it took a long time, and that is the other thing about online backup. It took a couple months for the first backup of all of these drives plugged in to the wall. So that's the downside of online backup, depending on the speed of your connection and everything else. But there's online, there's cloud backup, as we said, and there's let's just let that run. There's the hard drives you might use. Whatever it is, you need a plan. I've talked with a number of people, and I've heard this before, and I think it's getting stronger. The memory cards are getting inexpensive enough, and they're very, very stable, that for important trips, people are talking about shooting the memory cards and then just filing the memory cards away. And I heard this also at my conferences. We talked about that I went to Nordic Light and the Beyond Pixels in a room with very many people who make the things that we use or make the software we use. And that was actually one of the suggestions that was made, was shoot the memory cards and file the memory cards and buy new memory cards for each trip. And given the stability of the memory cards that we now use for our cameras and the process could be one of what I recommend to be 3 copies of any picture that is really important to you. So one of 3 is a standard that I'm hearing more and more. You could try that. They're pretty stable too. So the question was about memory sticks and whether that could do it. And the larger memory sticks are becoming more affordable. They could also be a way. And I'm finding the DVDs are getting more difficult as the pictures get bigger. For my last trip, I'm still sort of not, committing all those DVDs. And DVDs have their own problem. They age, they wear, they may not have actually written. And so it's, yes, you need to add testing. One of the things I do find, though, is the more invisible your backup system is, the more automated, as long as you're sure it's really working, the more likely you are to do it. People, I don't care how noble you are, how true blue photographer you are, you have to remember to take your hard drive and plug it in another hard drive and manually tell it to back up. The percentage of you that will do it will be rather low. So I do recommend something that happens in the background, like a Time Machine or a retrospect or a backblaze. That will just happen. So we have our drawing up now. My drawing has now one more piece to it that we need to talk about, and that is monitor calibration. If I'm going to develop my pictures, if I'm going to output my pictures, I have to make sure that the monitor I'm looking at actually has good quality, that actually has the right information. And if you don't, how many people in the classroom right now calibrate their monitor? Okay, we have about not even half. Oh my God! In any way, but yeah. And I don't know how, is anyone online? If you have questions, how many people who are listening online, if you can type to see whether you do backup or not, I'd love to know. Excuse me, monitor calibration. Has anyone ever tried this? I mean, you can take a button and you can make your monitor brighter. You can make your monitor darker. It doesn't change the picture. It changes what you see, but the picture, the pixels in the picture, the information about the picture is stayed solid. All you've done is like put sunglasses on. Has anyone ever done that? My husband has cameras that don't have meters, and he will look at a scene and he'll set his settings and go photograph for an hour sometimes. And it is only when he accidentally puts on sunglasses first that he'll be wrong. But if he puts on the sunglasses, he'll make all the wrong judgments because the sunglasses change his relationship to the light in the world. Oh, well, absolutely. That's the point. The point is that the pictures here and here are the pixels. You're using the monitor to decide what is the right answers. If you make the monitor brighter, you're going to make different choices that are incorrect. That's why it's so essential that your monitor be correct. This is a picture of the Apple calibration. If you have no choice, this is what you should do. And I actually have all the instructions here on this page that you can go through step by step for both Apple and Windows if you don't have, if you don't actually own a calibrator or decide not to purchase a calibrator. In the simplest of terms, what you can do, I would do this. It says step by step, you want to let your monitor warm up for at least 30 minutes, or you want to make sure you have the right settings on it, and then you'll walk through this little utility which will let you make things greener and bluer and yellower and lighter and darker, and at least get you something in that interactive event. The next step for me on that would then be to take a picture or a couple pictures that are representative of your images and print them out on your favorite printout material, whether it's your home printer or a service where you send them to. And then you want to sit and you want to look at the screen and look at the picture you printed. And you want to say, do these match? If they don't match, and you're not going to buy the color monitor calibrator that I recommend, then you want to change the screen until it looks like the print. I mean, that's the very least. We want what you see on the screen to look like what you get on the piece of paper. So that is a backdoor way to calibrate a monitor, is to make sure that is to adjust the monitor until it looks like the print. Well, what it does and it doesn't. If you're going to use consistent output, you don't need it. You can also calibrate your printer, and that's a whole other discussion. But if you print to the printer and use all the same settings each time, what you want is this print to look like the screen. In a backwards way, you can do that. As long as you don't change any other variables. You're very right. If you change any other variable, you can really run into problems. Yeah. Do you really need a monitor that has the RGB colors? Depends what you're doing. When I started to work on Searching for True North, the book that I edited for my husband with Modern Book Gallery, that was going to be a huge project. We bought a new screen. We redid the lighting in our digital room yes, we painted everything gray. I only wore gray clothes to work in. I know. So what was the cost if I didn't? Because we had to get hundreds of pictures prepared in a very short time to be sent to a printer. I think a high quality monitor will make a difference. I use a professional level monitor. Again, it's a lot like the workflow. You have to look and see if you can get the quality what you need. Laptops are hard. I think that's one difficulty. That those of you working on laptops, you may notice if you just shift the laptop a few degrees in any direction, you will really have a hard time because it will change. So if you're going to work on your laptop, you either need to plug the laptop into another screen, or at the very least, you need to make sure you do you straight onto the laptop. You have a certain angle you always use, and you try to minimize your variables in that way. But I think a good monitor will make a difference. Is that a difference you want to make? Joan and then Malari. Are you talking about proofing by printing them, or are you talking about soft proofing? We'll be talking about Lightroom 4 doesn't. The question is, in Photoshop we soft proof the pictures before we printed them. In Lightroom 4 it is possible to soft proof. That is definitely something you'll want to do. It's a separate issue from monitor calibration. Mm-hmm. You should always soft proof. Oh, yeah. I would always soft proof before you do anything. You want to keep your workflow consistent for whatever you're doing. So, and we'll learn how to soft proof when we get to the printing module. Yes. The question is for cameras that have extended color space, what monitor would be useful? There were a couple of professional level monitors that if you're going to do really serious photo editing, you may consider using. ISO is one, E-I-Z-O. NEC, N-E-C is the other. Those are the two primary professional level monitors that people are using at this time. Apple's pretty much gotten out of the monitor range. And I'm not thinking anyone else use any other monitors that are the professional level. Those are the two that I know. I use ISO. Charlie Kramer's using NEC right now. I know that's when I was in his studio. And you just have to look and see. I mean, there's much cheaper monitors than that. Again, it depends on what you're doing. You know, at some point for me, when I'm doing very large prints for projects, the amount I save in materials I don't think anything will ever pay for my photography, but it can kind of balance out the idea that rather than wasting paper, wasting ink, wasting time, which is the most precious commodity for me, having the good quality monitor makes a difference. But you can work around that if you have a lower quality monitor. You want to make sure that you follow the directions on this page and see what you can get. I don't know if largest, the question is, do you want one that's large as possible? I don't know that large as possible is always best. You want one that's comfortable for you. You have to remember that whatever you use, you have to mouse across. And generally, and so you want to play with that and find out what the space is good. I usually use I have two. One is the laptop, and the other is the larger monitor, which is and the laptop will be for palettes, and then the image will be on the main monitor. So it's a whole setup issue, and you can use Lightroom with two monitors, and that's another thing that can be very cool. Where on one monitor you have your thumbnails, and on the other you have singular pictures, and that's very easy to set up just with a click of a button. Yeah. I calibrate at least once a week, and more often if it's a important, because the question is how often to calibrate. At least once a week, and more often if it's an important project, and I'm getting paranoid. Okay, this is X-Rite Photo. These are one of the companies that do a lot of work with color meters. You can see right here, this is one of the color calibrating tools that you can use. There are different products that you can see. This is what I am using right now, which is the I1 Display Pro, and I actually do have a color checker passport that I bought separately. What this does is a couple of things. Let's yes, Steve. From one calibration to the next, sometimes, usually most of the calibrators, when you run through the software, will give you a before and after. And ideally, I shouldn't wait till I see a big change. Ideally, I should be always right on, and so my weekly calibration should be hopefully a confirmation. But I sometimes will see a slight change. You'll probably see a huge change from when your first calibration between what you get and that. This Display Pro 1 does a couple of things. It actually reads the ambient light, and if it's tied into your monitor, it will change the monitor as the light in the room changes. I tend to try and work in my digital room has blackout, so that and a color balanced fluorescent tube, so that there's as little change from morning to night and different times of day as possible. But that being said, this is a very good solution in that it will adjust your monitor as the light in the room changes. The rough cost. So click the buy button. It's. I think they're running about $250 is my guess right now. I try not to think about how much things are, as you all know. That you have to have. Note to my wife, you have to have one. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'd be happy to do that. She knows me. She's not going to buy it. Not literally. Yeah, let me. It's a USB plug, and it's plugged in. It can be. I mean, that's one way to do it. Yeah, so it's 300 with the that's with the passport. B&H is one of the resources that I use quite often. So this is actually two things. This is the i1 display and the passport, which is for you shoot the passport and use it to calibrate. You probably don't need both of these things, most of you. Just the display is running $219 here. That's so $200, $250. So that depends. That's actually a good price at B&H, but almost getting the passport for free. Yeah. Yes. No, if you want to calibrate more than just your screen, then you start paying more. The passport is what you would photograph with your camera, and you'd use that to adjust color inside of Lightroom or Photoshop. And I'll show you how to use that later on. A lot of things we're going to do later on. Huh? There are tutorials here. They are not closed captions, so I won't be showing them, but those use them, so they're optional. And if you wish to go see them, you can view the tutorials that will sort of show you them using these tools. I'm writing to everybody to tell them they have to close caption their stuff. The current project. Spread the word about captioning. Okay. Any questions about monitor calibration online or in the classroom? Anything else? Yes, Virginia. I have not questions about student discounts. I have not seen student discounts on these tools in my recent memory. Where I would check instead of Mountain View would be Keeble and Chuck It. They have a student discount program that they work through, and it may be that some of the calibrators are on that program. And I'm not going to remember the name of the program, but I would check with them and ask if they have. MAC, I think, is a discount program for students that Keeble and Chuck It on California Street in Palo Alto runs. And if you're someplace else, other photo stores would run. MAC online. Oh no, it's not everything. It's very small, and you have to actually order it, and it gets sent special for you. I mean, so it's not, but it is a significant discount if it's a tool that you need. And I'm not sure if the calibrators are on the MAC discount program or not. PHOT. So someone's saying that B&H photography also is a student thing. And if you're a National Association of Photoshop Professionals member, you can get discounted shipping from B&H. This is how I paid for my membership. Yeah, which may not be a good thing. It must mean I order a lot from B&H. But be that as it may. I don't know the name. I don't even know what that story is. So. Okay. So our next piece that we're going to go to. So we've gotten our pictures in. We've calibrated our monitor. We're ready to start working. And metadata is our next piece that I want us to think about. Metadata is information that is helpful. There's a lot of information under this piece called metadata. And I need to do something technical here for a second, so please hold on, and you can think about the idea of metadata. I just need to get my notes on this other computer real quickly, sorry. So can anyone give me an example of a kind of metadata? Okay, photographer's name would be in the metadata. This is the text information that's behind the image. So a photographer's name, what else? The actual camera and the actual lens you're using will be embedded in the metadata. You can add your copyright to the metadata. So there's some metadata that's automatic. So when you shoot a picture, certain information is immediately written into the file. That would be camera type, lens, maybe shutter speed, f-stop, color balance, flash, no flash, lots of information like that. Other information you can add. You can either have your camera add it, and I actually have a good story about that, or you can add it in Lightroom. I had a friend who said he sold a camera, and then his person he sold it to called him and said, I have a problem. I'm selling these pictures because he was a professor, and they keep on saying, who is this guy? Because he had put his copyright information inside the camera. And so he actually had a picture printed with the photographer who sold him the camera's name on the picture because he'd never fixed the metadata inside the camera. So we can put copyright on in the metadata or in the camera or in Lightroom. Does anyone think another kind of metadata that might be in pictures? GPS data, very useful, can be very useful. My camera, I have bought a GPS connector, so I can add that to it. If you take a picture with a lot of little cameras, they automatically have GPS set into it. Okay, so the question is, can you take it out? And the answer is yes. There's a couple different ways. You can, when you publish it out of Lightroom, you can choose to have things removed, certain metadata removed. And I'm pretty sure you can simply delete it, but we can try that. We'll try that when we're in Lightroom. I haven't tried it yet. So metadata is data about data. And so the thing to think about is, how are you going to use this, and to make sure that you have access to it and that you use it to organize. And to be careful too, so you don't make a mistake like our friend having someone else's copyright on your picture. There actually is a site called metadata.org. Are you MetaSmart? If you create, distribute, or use digital photos, you better be. And this site actually has the effort. It's between the Library of Congress and the Stock Photographers Alliance, and their goal is to promote the standardization of all metadata. So what they're trying to do is make sure that photographers are using metadata in a good way to help clarify their images and not muddy it. And so let's go. Actually go to the site. Are you MetaSmart? It's about copywriting protection. It's about licensing your pictures. It's about workflow, tracking. And so they do have things, resources. They have standardized lists of keywords. They've had tutorials about different things about how to embed your metadata. And they also have surveys to keep track of the industry and what people are doing with this. So here is this is all the information on this one photograph, if you can see that. File name, headline, men's and hats, looking upward. The copyright notice is copyright Corbis. Corbis is a very important stock agency that owns all the pictures that Getty doesn't. Credit, Fetterman, that was another archive that Corbis purchased. Caption, abstract, has a year and what it is. Then all the keywords. Look at all these keywords. The object name, the original transmission reference, and special instructions, all in behind the picture. Oh, what's going on? Up to oh, that's what's going on. Sorry. No, I'm something really weird to my screen, but that's okay. Yeah, they have a guide to photo metadata fields, which is quite interesting. And it goes through each of the fields and what should be in them. And then it has some standardized lists that you can use. Let's go now to Lightroom. And we'll take one picture of mine. And I haven't checked the metadata on this one. I don't know. Do I have anything good? Oh, good. I have some good metadata on it. So we start at the top, and you can see my keyword tags. Saarbrücken is where this picture is taken. It's at the Volklingen Iron Works factory. It's a World Heritage Site. So each of those things are in the keywords. I have typed these in to the file. When we open the metadata down here, you'll see I don't have a preset on this. That's probably not good. Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Right. The file name is there. If I had a different copy name, that would be here. The folder that it's living in is there. A file size. File type. This is a PSD file in this particular situation. It actually charts with the status. There has been some changes to the status. This isn't the way it came out of the camera. The date of the metadata, my rating of 2 stars, my label of blue, the title of the piece, the caption. And this is really important for those of you working in Lightroom and wanting to use the creative modules or the output modules. Lightroom can grab this information. So in my website, it will automatically grab window and the name of the place it is from these things to make a web slideshow, a website. I can print it on the picture. So it's very helpful to have this information. The dimensions of the file, whether you can see it hasn't been cropped, my original exposure, my exposure bias, my flash did not fire. I was on aperture priority. I had a meter in pattern, 200 ISO, 34 millimeter lens, or focal length on a 28 to 70, 2.8 lens. The original date, the make of the camera, even the serial number of the camera. My GPS is right there that we mentioned. And you can see, I can pick that out just by cutting and pasting. Or when we look at export, we'll look again to see how we would not have it go out. And then I have added my contact information, my address, my email, and my website into this. And you can see some other information that has come into it. Copywritten, all rights reserved. This is information I've added to the file. and I don't have any comments. If I had published this to Flickr or to Facebook, Lightroom will actually keep track of the comments on my published sites. If I publish something there, you can see it there. I don't know if I have one that has that right now. Metadata date. That would be the date that the metadata was last changed. Yeah, yeah. You can. Yeah, because the original file was from 2009, so it has to be the date of the metadata. Yes. Yes. If you say title and caption, you can type that in. So you just click on it and type. Anything, some things, so like right now, I can't go in and change the ISO, right? See how I'm clicking on the ISO? I just made a mess of something. Stop. Okay. Let's see. So anything that like I'm holding over, when I hold it over, it's active. So here's a picture from Monticello. It's interesting. These I can manually input. See how they're live? Yeah, I do it right here. No, not really. I can't change the original file name. And this is a good example. This is a good one for me to show. I go in and change my file names eventually. Some of them you'll see haven't been changed yet. So this is in USA 11- and the original file number. So it's done in 2011 in the USA. The original file name, and this is a really good piece of changing your file names inside of Lightroom, because then the original file name is embedded in the file. And you don't lose that if you ever needed it for some reason. If you changed your file name on the way into Lightroom, in that original dialog box, or if you changed it in another program, that will not happen. You will not preserve that piece of information. And I find that I like having that. I can't change these. See, they're not live. These are live. I can change the title, and I can change the caption. I can't change any information about the camera, but I can change the GPS. I can change my contact info, and I can change these different things down here. So anything I can click on, I can change. Which extra comments? I typed it in. Now, this is something that's to realize. There's many different ways to show your metadata. And if you don't have it on EXIF and IPTC, and you won't be able to see. So like you might be on minimal, and then all you'll see is that. Or just location, or just DNG, and default. Yeah, default you have quite a bit, but not everything. And comments will only happen if you've published it somewhere. So I keep mine on the EXIF and IPTC. What would you use for the comments? Actually, the comments, if you publish to Flickr, what actually happens, let me find one that's, I don't know if I have something in here that's published to Flickr. Give me a second to get there. And the poor online people are seeing images just scroll past them so fast they can't even breathe. Okay, so here's Flickr, and here's a picture I published to Flickr. There is no comments on it, but I can actually, from here, let's see if I have one that has a comment. These are historic pictures of from my family. No, they wouldn't be. Actually, if someone was to go into Flickr and comment on my picture in Flickr, it would print itself here. It actually synchronizes with my comments on Flickr. And I can actually click here and say, Jordahl, Christian, Norway. And when I do that, it will synchronize that comment up onto Flickr and back again. I don't know if anything. Yeah, none of these actually have comments right now. Let's see if there's some. This was a project we did. We made a blurb book for my father-in-law of all these family pictures. I'm not seeing any that would have a comment on blurb because I haven't. I've shared them in other ways. I mean on Flickr. I store them on Flickr, but I'm not. I don't think people have commented on them. But in any case. It was a big copy project. Oh, see this one. This one should have comments. Maybe not. So if there was comments, they would show up. Okay. So thinking about, there actually is, I'm inside CCC Confer, and I will tell you that, and all of you might want to go here, there is a CCC Confer conversation that I had with Harlan. Some of you may know Harlan Crowder, on an earlier class. And it's where he shares his methods of doing keywords, and we talk back and forth about the use of keywords. And so I'm going to recommend that you watch this on your own. We're not going to watch it together. But he will talk about how he keywords his project. He has a project he shows there. And he'll talk about the idea of hierarchical keywords and a couple of other things. I'll touch on some of those today, but this goes into it in much more depth than we're going to go into it together. So, and so you'll go to CCC Confer, go to Teach and Confer, and then you'll be able to watch this presentation. I'm going to go into Lightroom in a second, and I'll do some searching and some keyword things. But I wanted to show here, this is a picture, and I did 6 levels. These are hierarchical keywords. And again, I would sit down with a pencil and paper or an Excel spreadsheet, and I would write all the keywords that I think I'm going to use. You don't want keywords you don't need. You don't want more keywords than are useful for a picture. But you really, really, really do need to think about, well, how are you going to want to find your pictures in the future? I will be happy to share with those of you that want to go there how to create an Excel spreadsheet and import it. We're not going to do it today because you're going to want to sit and think about your keywords first. How you would import it in order to have hierarchical keywords. There's a couple of pluses to this when you do it. What you can do is actually have a single keyword on a picture. Like if I search this picture for Japan, even though you see there's no Japan in the keywords, the only thing, and I didn't make a logical keywords here, but silver gelatin is the only thing in this picture. But silver gelatin is under abstract, which is under maple trees, which is under trees, which is under nature, which is under Japan. So I created a thread where these pictures will come up in the future. And so it can be a way to keep your keywords really simple and organized. Think about the point. What is the point of keywords? Finding things. If the point of keywords is finding things, do not make your keywords too insane. I watch people who they have blue and aqua, and then they have like 100 keywords on a picture, and it looks like some kind of crazy mass of words. You want just enough to really help you find your pictures, and not anything more. So let's go to Lightroom right now, and go to all. And how do you find use your, and you see it right here. Can you guys see that? Right here on the top it says metadata. So when you look at metadata, and this is a really powerful thing. I'm going to do it. I'm hoping, let me know if you guys can see it online. Let Steve know if you can see it online. When I go to metadata, I have at this time 4 columns: ISO speed, cameras, lenses, and label. So and this is something I've used actually quite a bit. I want to say, okay, I'm going on a trip, and I have this 300 millimeter lens that weighs about as much as a small child, right? And am I going to carry this lens? So I can click on here, and I can look, and I can see which pictures in this catalog have I taken with a 300 millimeter lens. And is it, for the particular trip I'm doing, is it going to be worth carrying that lens? So I found that it's very useful to kind of look. Which lens do I use most? Can you guys see as I go through? Can you see all lenses? I think we're right here at the 28 to 70. Click on 28 to 70. And you'll see that I've taken 14,000 pictures with this lens. I might like that lens. And I actually really like this picture. So I definitely am going to carry that lens again, right? So it can be, this is information that I can use in this way. I can see, and in this case, this catalog encompasses thousands of pictures. So there's many cameras here, but we can also see which camera I use most, which in this particular catalog was the D700. Okay. I can do a couple other things that are interesting. So let's say that I'm not interested in lenses right now. I can actually, come here and I can say, what do I want to find out about? And here are all the different things that I can search by in my metadata. So I could search by keyword, by date, by camera, by specific camera serial number, location, by the creator. So if you have a catalog that is more than just your pictures, that's something you can do. If you, how did I get there? So I hover over the category I don't need right now, and I click and I get the list. So any one of these, I can have as many of these little things as I want, these dividers. So I'm going to add a column, and in that column I'm going to be saying I want to know keywords. And so I can actually say I want all the pictures that were taken at 200 ISO that were taken, camera lens, keyword lens, that were taken with my favorite lens, with my newest camera, the D800E. This is also lens, it's just something else, that have GPS data, and have the keyword of let's say Canada. So now I have the 11 pictures, and these are really horrible. I have the 11 pictures that are 200 ISO with my 28 to 70, with my Nikon, that have GPS information on them and are from Canada. And this is sort of one of those, would I ever do this particular example? I don't know, but it does give you an idea that if you were saying, I know that I took that in this place and I think I used this camera, you can pull up those two variables very quickly to see what you're doing. So this metadata right here on the library filter is very, very useful, very interesting to use. You can also do it by text. So I could say, I'm going to do none first, sorry. I could say text, I want the pictures that say, I think it's something, I'm blanking. So I just want pictures that have any searchable text that say bridge. And so there we have the Golden Gate Bridge. So any searchable text that says bridge. I can do find things by attribute. So I can say I want pictures that have at least 3 stars. So this rating is greater than or equal to. And have a color of blue. And so here, in this case, are the pictures of mine that have both at least 3 stars and have been rated blue. Blue can mean whatever I want. Unfortunately for me, it's not consistent. It could be for you. I use it very flexibly to lots of different ways. And I can combine these. So now that I have the pictures that have 3 stars and are blue, I now can add metadata and say, and have Canada. And so now these are the ones that have at least 3 stars and are blue and are in Canada. So and you can imagine I have tens of thousands of pictures. To be able to access something I need, it is essential that I use my metadata wisely. Yes. Let's see how we'll do this. Okay, I'm going to go in. And I'm going to make this as large as it will let me. So I'm going to get rid of him. Hold on a second, those of you. So this picture. Okay, is that it's working, right? There's my title. There's where it's located. My folder names are dates, so that it may not look like it looks like a date, but actually it's the folder name. It's the file size, file type, the rating, the label, the title, Clouds and Rain, Grossmoor National Park, Newfoundland, Labrador, Canada. I would do the one that says EXIF. It says I have it here now. It has EXIF and IPT, so it has both labels there. So no, not here. You do it here. Oh, okay. Yeah, right there. You have it. Yeah. How to add keywords? I just sort of. Oh, okay. Oh, how would you, in terms of using the library filter, you want to add keywords to your library filter. Let me get there. Let me just go down so you can see this particular picture. We can see about the camera. We can see the GPS data. We can see my contact info. And I will mention for those of you that are going further in photography, one of the reasons I keep a P.O. box is to be able to pop that information in my pictures and give it out on business cards, and not have it be my studio or my home address. It's someplace that people can always contact me, but it is not right to steal my pictures, because no, they wouldn't want my cameras. They'd want my pictures. Not my computers. No, not my computers or anything. Okay, so that's the data. And the question was about, again, how to deal with that filter. You have to be in grid. And if you wanted to change a column of the filter, you hold down on it, on the little up-down, and that will give you option to change it. If you want to get rid of a column or remove it, you can have them so they can be bigger. You can add and remove columns, and you can change the content of the columns. Very quick. Just click right here. Which one? Bottom right. Oh, this? This is echoing what's happening at the top. So what's being asked about is this toolbar right here, which is the top of the film strip, sorry. And so if I go, you can see right now it says custom filter, and there's 3 stars, there's blue. I can go here, and when I say none, now filters are off. So it's just noting what I have requested on the top filter bar. So these two work together. I can do it here too. What? I could do it here. Right. I can do the custom filter here, or I can do the custom filter on top. It's just noting what I've done. Okay, and adding keywords, as you may remember, let me find a picture. I'm sure some keywords in it. Oh no, how could I not have a picture? Okay, that's why. Let's find one that has more keywords. I'm finding my eagles. Oh no. Okay, so this particular picture has a keyword of anchor watt. If I go to the keyword list, you'll see, actually it shouldn't be there. I've done, my keywords are in 4 basically folders: patchwork, people plus, places, and projects. And so inside of places, I have Asia, Canada, Europe, Oceania, USA, and World Heritage Sites. Inside Asia, I have Cambodia, China, Japan, and Thailand. Inside Cambodia, I have Jasmine Valley, Kep, Phnom Penh, Rabbit Island, Siem Reap, and Holy Lake. Inside Siem Reap, I have Angkor Wat, Pasak Tukam, Tasson, and Ta Hum. And so you can see that this picture is at Angkor Wat inside Siem Reap, which is inside Cambodia, which is inside Asia, which is inside places. Okay. So if I was to come, and we're going to keep this one to grid, and I go up to text, and I go into keyword, and what I type in keyword is Cambodia, you'll see that finding that picture again will be really difficult. There's a lot of pictures. All of these pictures will come up when I do Cambodia. This picture we were just looking at has a keyword of only Angkor Wat. But because Angkor Wat is inside Siem Reap, and Siem Reap is inside Cambodia, when I search for Cambodia, it'll pull it up. So I can do the specific keyword for specific place, but because they're nested, I'll get them all. Yes, you can set it up in Excel and import it, which is very, very powerful. Yes. I was going to make a joke. I know. I was going to make a joke, but it doesn't seem I should be so cruel. Okay, let me show you. I'm going to. Yeah. There's a couple things you could do. It is possible to make it and bring it back in. It can be a lot of work to get them back on the right pictures and everything. But if you have and so you kind of want to clean up your act and move forward with an organized way. But let's say the color checker actually is a good example. So here is actually a picture, I hope, of the color checker that we were talking about. This is a passport color checker. So when I went to, it looks like Sulphur Creek, I photographed the color checker, and then I use it to color balance. It's a very useful tool for setting up color balance inside Lightroom. This should not be off on its own. You can see it's just sitting up there with no home. Where do I want this? Well, I actually want this. I know that I want this because I already have it set up inside of projects. So I can actually take it and drag it inside projects. And actually where I want it in projects is in teaching, because I would use it for teaching. And so I would wait and find teaching. And I would drop it into teaching. So now this color checker is inside teaching, which is inside projects. So you can just take it and drop and drag it. And so once you do that, you can sort of organize them I would listen to Harlan's, the discussion I had with Harlan that's on the CCC Confer. And then those of you that actually want to try and do hierarchical keywords, we can either work on them one-on-one in class, or we can do some things online with the people online. So we can, because I know for a lot of people, you don't have that many pictures yet. You're not in the place to want to do this. It's not a big deal. And so I don't want to sort of take up a lot of class time with that. But I think just basically understanding that you really want to think about your keywords and that you can nest them in that way is interesting. If I was as good a person as I wish I was, I would shoot the color checker at the front of every shoot that I do. And then I would use it, and then you can use it to synchronize. And have people read and understand synchronizing your development settings? No. Okay. Well, we'll touch on that again. Not today. I think we're pretty full today on topics. But remind me to talk about synchronizing. Then that's how I would do it. Is I would use it to color balance, and then I would synchronize that color balance with other pictures of the same shoot. So I don't know if I can. I almost want to do it really quickly, but it's a pretty easy thing to do in Lightroom. Oh yeah, you would have color. I mean, this is one I did for teaching purposes, but yeah, I've already synchronized something. Well, let's just say here's the import on this one. Let's see what it looks like. Doesn't look that different. That's not going to do us any good. Yeah, histogram did change some. Interesting. So here's the color checker. Let's just import the color checker. This is what the color checker would look like when I brought it in. I would take the eyedropper and click on the gray square. It has multiple grayscales for different tones, different warmth or cool light. So you can actually pick and you have to learn how to do that. But it doesn't matter, you just need a gray square. Now that I have this the right color, I'll go to my grid. I'll choose this other picture by hitting Command-click on the picture. This is the most chosen. Can everyone see that? This is also chosen. I'll say Sync Settings. And I can synchronize anything I want. I'm just going to synchronize all in this case, but we'll talk more about that later too. And so can you see this one changed? I don't know if you guys online can see that, but definitely in the classroom we could see the color shifted to match the color that the color checker had. So if you get it the right color in one, you can do whole folders. So all of the pictures I did of the third, I would synchronize with the color checker because I had shot the color checker and then I shot that third. Questions about keywords online or in the classroom? Okay. Think about it and bring it in. I'm sure that Martin Evening's written a lot of stuff about it that you guys might have read. Yeah, Virginia. We'll talk about that and look at it, and then if you want more details, I'll either work with people one-on-one in the lab here in the classroom, or we'll have a little conversation in the online class for people who are interested in knowing more about that. Okay. So it's answering you and answering the people who are listening to me on this lecture. Okay, so there is, I've just done this in with you guys, but here is the search using the filter, library filter bar to find images. So you can look for things as I mentioned before. And another video that I'm going to recommend that you watch on your own, we won't do it here together, is the Juliana Cost on the issues of RAW versus BNG. Adobe has things about what they say about BNG. Peter Krogh has an article on BNG, and another article about Adobe offering new reasons to get BNG ratings. Who can tell me what BNG is? Anybody? Yeah. Okay, so it's supposed to refer to changes over time in file formats. It's supposed to be stable. It is a public archival format for digital camera raw data. And this is the basic premise. And I'll tell you a little bit about it. I recommend you watch the Juliana Cost video. And if you think I talk fast, she's my role model. She can talk faster than me. She's brilliant. And you shoot a camera, you shoot a Nikon camera, and you have camera raw. And Nikon owns how that file format has been written. You shoot a Canon, you have a Canon camera raw. Canon owns that file format. There is a couple of downsides to that. One downside is you can't write to a camera raw file. You cannot write into it. You cannot change it. And so one thing about a camera raw is that, let's go back to my thing and find this raw. Go and save the metadata to the file, so I'm sure that I have it. Then I'm going to come here and show this in the Finder. And what you'll notice is that there's my file. And right next to it, let's go like this, so maybe that'll be clearer. Is another file with the same beginning name, but this other little tag thing, XMP. This is a sidecar. This is where everything I did to 6144 is saved. If you saw I had to save it out to it, so it's called a sidecar. If I was to throw this away, the things that I did to this file would still be in my Lightroom catalog, but it wouldn't be with the file. No, it doesn't live with the file. That's what happens with my NEF, which is a Nikon RAW file format, or with those of you that use Canon, your CR, blah, 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 whatever it is, depending on the camera, the CR2, or whatever. So one plus of BNG is that you can actually write that information into the BNG file. It's an open format. It is documented. And so when you save your metadata to file, it's written into the file, not in a separate file that you have to keep track of and could be separate. And Adobe would say also that since it is a public file format like TIFF or like JPEG, that you will not lose it. Now, most people I talk to say he really thinks that even if Nikon went out of business, that all that information wouldn't be preserved somewhere, somehow. And I think that's probably true. I mean, I don't think we have to really worry about forever losing the ability to open our Nikon files. But at the same time, Adobe's made this commitment to D&G being open and clear and available for people. And so that's a reason why a lot of people are recommending it. Mm-hmm. No, it's written in there as instructions, just like it. So right, and you can access either the original raw data or you can access the instructions. Well, D&G has been created by Adobe. It's not owned by Adobe. It's public. So it says greater control. Cameras use different raw formats, and specifications for which are not publicly available. Nikon and Canon are particularly Nikon, very private about their raw format. So not every raw file can be read by a variety of software applications. So the idea of it, so they're really pushing us for the idea of archiving images, that your long-term should be DNG. And let's see if there's anything else I should say there. Okay, yes. Mm-hmm. No, you won't go back to the XMP. You can still get back to the raw data. So if you have a DNG file, what will be in there is all the raw data that you photographed, plus the instructions that you created in Lightroom or Camera Raw. So it's all there. No, it's a DNG format. It's interpreted it. And some people would say there may be some loss. I don't know anyone who uses that would say that, but that's, you know. I have not personally made the transition to DNG, but I know that I'm going to have to do that. There's a couple of reasons why it is going to be better in terms of a long-term workflow. And this is a blog by Peter Krogh, and he's actually someone that I got to work with last week at Nordic Light. Really, really deep thinker about workflow, and he wrote the DAM book. I'm not cursing. It's called the Digital Asset Management book. He is the kind of expert on those damn things, and so he's talking about why you should use why you use it and how to use DNG. And so this article is there for you to read. His name's Peter Krogh. Right there, K-R-O-G-H. So I am putting on my list for summer projects to transition my images to DNG and start doing it as I work, because I really do think that the improvements that are coming from it are greater than, and really the only cost of DNG is one more step in your workflow, going from the raw file to the DNG file. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about the workflow. Let's have everybody listen to the Juliana Cost and read some of these, and we'll start that conversation in the discussion area and here in class. After you've read about what they say, because it's not without controversy to do this, but after people have read it, let's have that conversation about where you would do your DNG translation and whether you will decide to. Matt Kozlowski of the National Association of Photoshop Professionals was very clear. I could do it. It's fine. It's a good idea, but I just don't. It just doesn't seem like that big a deal, and that's been up till now his thing. I think the advantages are becoming more clear over time, but let's all read the articles, and then we'll have that conversation and really critically look at, is this a good idea? That's true. That's true. And boy, have they done it, and done it with a splash, haven't they? And the crazy part is, a lot of the people doing research right now about that is that they had in their hands so many of the keys to what we do now, and just didn't know what to do with them. They couldn't imagine what it is. You know, they couldn't imagine that next thing. Kodak can't, no. You cannot go back to the original RAW. And so that may be one thing, as we read these articles and look at it, that's one thing we might want to talk about. So as I say, I'm going to be a new convert, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to save the Nikon RAW file and then make my DNGs, or just immediately go to DNG. So I'm still playing with that idea. I'm thinking what I might do is keep an archival copy of the Nikon format, because there may be something in there that I'll want someday. But of course, I also don't throw away any of my pictures. I have the pictures of my blurry feet, and the out of focus sheep, and all those other things that I should really, really, really get rid of. If I had any brains at all, I would just not buy another hard drive and get rid of some of those things. Yeah, I know. And I will actually call that probably to justify my inability to throw away things. Right. You got it. Yeah. Okay. We've reached the end of one module. I thank everyone so much. For the people who are online, you would want to look at the other slideshow now, or when at your convenience, about design elements for the photographic artist. You have a reading in chapter 10, and we're doing the recycled ideas. This is a wonderful project. It worked so well last time, and you guys have to live up to it and make it work really well this time too. If you are online and you properly did this, you have gotten your ideas in the discussion area. If you're here in the classroom, we're going to do this together right now, work through the ideas of how we come up with ideas, and be assigned some things to go make pictures about. We will be using Flickr, so if you have not yet gotten into Flickr, I tried to invite everybody, but if you haven't, what I need is your Flickr name and the email you signed up for Flickr as a private message, and I will get you into Flickr. And thank you so much. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll, in the classroom, we'll be going on, and I will say goodbye to the people online. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Let me get off of the there. Okay, everybody's gone, and so we're going to quit this.